The massive council chamber stretched out like a metal cathedral in space. Thousands of seats curved around the central speaking platform, each one filled with a different alien species. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few looked like walking crystals. All of them watched the small human woman standing at the podium. Ambassador Sarah Chen had served humanity for 8 long years in this place. She had listened to countless debates, signed hundreds of treaties, and tried to make friends with beings who barely saw humans as equals. Today would be her last day here. The chamber buzzed with alien voices speaking in dozens of languages. The translation devices in everyone's ears worked overtime to keep up. Sarah waited for silence, her hands steady on the podium despite what she was about to do. Chairman Vexhai of the Zalani hegemony called for order. His 6 arms moved in graceful patterns as he spoke. The council recognizes Ambassador Chen of the Terran Federation. Sarah looked up at the thousands of eyes watching her. Some were curious, others bored. None of them expected what was coming. Honored representatives, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's speakers. I stand before you today to deliver humanity's final message to this council. A ripple of surprise ran through the assembled aliens. Final message? What did that mean? Sarah continued, each word carefully chosen. For 50 years, humanity has been a member of this galactic council. We have followed your laws, paid our taxes, and tried to be good citizens of the galaxy. We believed that cooperation and friendship were possible between our species. The Corvani trade representative leaned forward in his seat, his bird-like head tilted with interest. Where was this going? 3 months ago, your council made a decision about our colony on Kepler 442b. You decided that our people, who had lived there for 30 years, had to leave. You said it was to protect some old ruins. You gave them 2 weeks to pack up their entire lives and go. Chairman Vexhai's expression didn't change. The Kepler decision had been necessary. Ancient ruins were more important than human feelings. Everyone knew that. Sarah's voice grew stronger. 200,000 humans called that planet home. They had built cities, farms, schools for their children. Some had been born there and never seen another world. But you decided that rocks and old buildings mattered more than their lives. Several alien representatives started talking among themselves. The human was getting emotional. This was why younger species couldn't handle real politics. We asked for time to relocate people properly. You refused. We asked for compensation for the homes and businesses they had to abandon. You refused. We asked for a voice in the decision that would destroy so many lives. You told us that humans were too young to understand the importance of preserving the past. Sarah paused, letting her words sink in. The chamber was quieter now. Even the most arrogant council members were starting to pay attention. Today I am here to tell you that humanity has made its own decision. Sarah's voice carried across the silent chamber like a bell. The Terran Federation hereby withdraws from all diplomatic relations with the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The silence lasted for exactly 3 seconds. Then the chamber exploded. Aliens jumped to their feet, shouting in languages that made the translation system smoke with effort. Some demanded explanations, others called it impossible. A few laughed, thinking it was some kind of human joke. Chairman Vexhai raised all 6 arms for silence. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. When he spoke, his voice was cold with authority. Ambassador Chen, surely you cannot be serious. No species has ever left the Galactic Council voluntarily. It would be suicide. Sarah smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We are completely serious, Chairman. As of this moment, humanity no longer recognizes the authority of this council over our people or our territory. The Haxan military representative stood up, his massive frame casting a shadow over nearby seats. Little human, do you understand what you are saying? Without the council's protection, your species will be destroyed within a year. Pirates, slavers, and worse things hunt in the dark between stars. We understand perfectly, General Thek, Sarah replied. We also understand that the council's protection has always come with a price we are no longer willing to pay. A dozen voices started talking at once. The Corvani representative squawked about trade agreements. The Zalani chairman spoke of broken treaties. Others warned of the dangers that waited for species foolish enough to go alone. Sarah listened to it all with calm patience. When the noise died down again, she spoke once more. For 50 years, you have treated humanity like children who needed your guidance. You have made decisions about our people without asking what we wanted. You have told us that our thoughts and feelings don't matter because we are too young, too primitive, too emotional to understand the galaxy. She picked up a datapad from the podium and held it up. This contains formal notification of our withdrawal, along with details of how human space will be administered going forward. All existing treaties between humanity and Council member species are now void. The chamber erupted again, but Sarah kept talking over the noise. Any alien vessels found in human territory without permission will be treated as invaders. Any attempts to force humanity back into Council membership will be considered acts of war. General Tech's laugh boomed across the chamber.
War with what army, little human?
Your entire fleet couldn't defeat a single Haxan battle group. Sarah's smile grew wider. We suppose you'll find out if you decide to test that theory. She stepped back from the podium and bowed formally to the assembly. This council session is humanity's farewell to galactic politics. We thank you for the lessons you have taught us, even if they were not the lessons you intended. As Sarah walked toward the exit, the chamber behind her dissolved into chaos. Aliens shouted questions she didn't answer and threats she didn't acknowledge. The human security detail that had been waiting outside fell into step beside her. Chairman Vexhi's voice followed her through the corridors. You cannot do this. No species survives alone in this galaxy. You will be back within a year begging us to take you back. Sarah paused at the entrance to the docking bay where her shuttle waited. She turned back one last time to face the council chamber. Perhaps, she said to the guards and diplomats who had followed her, or perhaps you will discover that you needed us more than we ever needed you. The shuttle bay doors closed behind her with a soft hiss. Within minutes, her ship had undocked from the massive council station and jumped to hyperspace. The last human diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council was over. Behind her, 47 alien species tried to figure out what had just happened. Most thought it was a temporary tantrum that would be resolved quickly. A few wondered if the humans had some kind of plan. None of them guessed that humanity had been planning this moment for decades, or that the real surprise was yet to come. They had always underestimated humans before. They were about to make that mistake one last time. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you pushed humanity too far. 6 months had passed since the humans walked away from the Galactic Council. Chairman Vexhi expected daily reports of human colonies under attack, their trade routes falling apart, and desperate messages begging to come back. Instead, his intelligence officers brought him news that made no sense. Sir, we have a problem, said Intelligence Director Crix, sliding a datapad across the chairman's desk. The humans aren't following the script. Vexhi's 4 eyes scanned the report while his other 2 arms gestured impatiently. What do you mean? Surely some pirate groups have tested their defenses by now. That's just it, sir. 3 different pirate fleets have disappeared completely in human space. No distress calls, no wreckage, no survivors. It's like they just vanished. The chairman set down the pad with a sharp click. Pirates are clever. They probably decided human space wasn't worth the trouble and moved on. Director Crix's tentacles writhed nervously. Sir, these were the Bloodclaw Raiders. They've never backed down from a fight in 50 years. And there's more. More reports flooded in over the following weeks. The Corvani Trade Federation, known for their aggressive business practices, reported strange encounters with human merchant ships. Instead of requesting safe passage through Corvani space like every other species, human traders simply flew through without asking permission. Trade Director Blix complained loudly during the next council session. They ignore our traffic control completely. When we try to board their ships for routine inspections, they send a single message. You have 30 seconds to clear our flight path. And then what happens? Asked the Jelani representative. Nothing. They just keep flying. But sir, our ship's weapons won't lock onto their vessels. Our targeting systems act like the human ships aren't even there. General Thek of the Haxan Empire laughed from his seat. Corvani cowardice. My warriors would have simply destroyed any ship that refused inspection. With respect, General. Director Blix's feathers ruffled with anger. Your people are welcome to try. We've learned not to test human patience. General Thek's expression darkened. The Haxan Empire had built its reputation on conquest and strength. No primitive species would intimidate them with empty threats. Within days, he was planning a demonstration that would put the humans back in their proper place. The Tau Ceti system had been disputed territory for years. Human miners worked the asteroids there, but the Haxans had always claimed the system belonged to them. With humanity no longer under council protection, It seemed like the perfect time to take what was rightfully theirs. General Thek assembled a battle fleet of 20 ships, more than enough to handle a mining operation. His flagship, the Deathbringer, was the pride of the Haxan Navy. Its weapons could crack a planet's crust, and its shields had never been breached in battle. When the fleet arrived in Tau Ceti, they found exactly what intelligence had promised. A human mining platform sat in the asteroid belt, slowly processing rocks into useful metals. A few small ships moved between the platform and nearby asteroids. It looked like easy prey. "Attention human vessels," General Thek broadcast on all frequencies.
This system now belongs to the Haxan Empire.
"Surrender immediately or be destroyed." The response came from an unknown source, calm and professional. "General Thek, you are trespassing in Terran space. You have 1 hour to withdraw beyond the heliopause." The general's laugh shook the bridge of his ship. 1 hour? "I'll give you 1 minute to evacuate that platform before I blast it to particles." "Your choice, General." Thek waited exactly 1 minute, then gave the order to fire. The Deathbringer's main cannon charged up with a sound like thunder. The beam that emerged could have melted a mountain. It struck the mining platform dead center. The platform vanished in a flash of light. For a moment, General Thek felt satisfied. Then his sensor operator started screaming, "Sir!" The platform. "It's still there." The mining platform sat exactly where it had been, completely undamaged. The Haxan weapon had passed right through it like it was made of air. "Impossible!" "Fire again!" 3 more shots produced the same result. The human platform might as well have been a ghost. "Sir," the sensor operator's voice cracked with fear, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures all around us. The asteroids, they're not asteroids." General Thek's blood turned to ice as his sensors revealed the truth. What had looked like floating rocks were actually weapons platforms, perfectly disguised and completely invisible until now. Dozens of them surrounded his fleet in a perfect sphere. "General Thek," the calm human voice returned, "your hour is up." The first human weapon fired before the general could give any orders. It wasn't a beam or a missile, but something that seemed to bend space itself. The Haxan cruiser Bone Crusher simply folded in on itself and disappeared. "Return fire. All ships return fire." The Haxan fleet was trained, experienced, and well-armed. They had conquered dozens of worlds and defeated every enemy they'd ever faced. Against the humans, they lasted exactly 4 minutes. The human weapons didn't just destroy ships, they seemed to edit them out of existence. One moment a Haxan vessel would be firing its guns, the next moment there would be empty space where it had been. No explosions, no debris, no time for the crew to even scream. When 18 of his 20 ships had vanished, General Thek finally understood that he was completely outmatched. His communications officer was dead, his weapons were offline, and his shields had failed without ever being hit by anything he could understand. "Please," he whispered into his radio. "We surrender." The human voice responded immediately. "General, you will return to Haxan space and deliver a message to your Emperor. Any further incursions into human territory will result in the complete destruction of your invasion force. There will be no warnings, no negotiations, and no survivors." The Deathbringer's engine suddenly came back online, though Thek hadn't ordered it. His ship began moving away from the asteroid field under someone else's control. "General, one more thing," the human voice added. "Your Empire has 48 hours to withdraw all claims to this system. After that, we will consider any Haxan presence here an act of war." The general's ship jumped to hyperspace, controlled by systems that weren't his own. Behind him, the human mining platform continued its work as if nothing had happened. The asteroid field looked exactly the same as it had when he'd arrived. When General Thek's report reached the Galactic Council, it sent shockwaves through every member species. The humans hadn't just defeated a Haxan battle fleet, they had made it disappear. Weapons that could do such things were supposed to be impossible. Chairman Vexhai read the report 3 times before he believed it. His intelligence director confirmed that long-range sensors had detected the battle, but couldn't explain what they had recorded, sir. Director Crick said quietly, "We need to consider the possibility that we've made a serious mistake about human capabilities." The chairman's skin color shifted to a pale green, a sign of deep worry among his people. "Send probes to monitor all human borders. I want to know what else they've been hiding from us." But the probes that entered human space simply vanished, just like the pirates in the Haxan fleet. The galaxy was beginning to realize that humanity's withdrawal hadn't been the desperate act of a weak species. It had been the declaration of independence by something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The reports kept coming, each one more disturbing than the last. Chairman Vexhi's morning briefings had become exercises in controlled terror, as his intelligence network tried to make sense of what humanity had become. "They've sealed off their entire territory," Director Crix explained, pointing to a holographic map of the galaxy. "No alien ship gets within 3 light years of any human world without permission. Those that try simply vanish." "Vanish how?" The chairman's voice was strained. 3 months of reports like this were wearing on his nerves. "We don't know, sir. Our long-range sensors detect the ships entering human space, then nothing. No explosions, no debris, no distress signals. It's like they never existed." The Zilani leader studied the map with growing unease. Red zones marked human territory, spreading like an infection across what had once been open space. Trade routes that had existed for centuries were now blocked. Entire sectors were off-limits to galactic civilization. What about communication? Surely some of our people are still in contact with human friends. Director Crix's tentacles curled with embarrassment. "Sir, every human citizen who was living or working in alien space has returned home. Every single one. They left their jobs, their businesses, even their alien spouses in some cases. It was coordinated down to the day." "The day they withdrew from the council?" "Yes, sir. It's like they planned this for years." Chairman Vexhi felt a chill run down his spine. The humans hadn't just walked away from the council in anger. They had prepared for this moment with frightening precision. Trade Director Blix of the Corvani Federation was the next to brief the emergency council session. His usually bright feathers looked dull with stress. "The humans are still trading," he reported, "but only on their terms. They've established trading posts exactly 3 light years from their border. Any alien who wants to do business with them has to go there." "What kind of business?" asked the Jelani representative. "That's the strange part. They're offering technology and materials that shouldn't exist. Power cells that last 10 times longer than ours. Metals that are stronger than anything in our databases. Medical supplies that can cure diseases we thought were impossible to treat." General Thek, still recovering from his humiliation at Tau Ceti, leaned forward. "Where are they getting these things?" "We don't know, sir. Our scientists can't figure out how any of it works. It's like they've advanced 100 years in the past 6 months." The reports continued for hours. Human trading posts that appeared overnight in empty space. Defense networks that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Ships that could travel faster than anything in the galaxy, yet left no hyperspace signature. But the most disturbing report came from the Zilani's own intelligence service. Director Yash, one of the galaxy's best spies, had discovered something that challenged everything they thought they knew about their former allies. "Chairman, we have confirmed evidence that humanity has been deceiving us since the day they joined the council," Yash reported. "Their technology was never as primitive as they claimed." "Explain." "We intercepted communications from 50 years ago, when humans first made contact with galactic civilization. Internal messages between their leaders suggest they had already developed faster-than-light travel years before meeting us." The council chamber fell silent. If this was true, it meant humanity had been pretending to be primitive from the very beginning. "They let us think we were teaching them," Yash continued. "They acted grateful for our guidance while secretly studying us. Every treaty we signed, every technology we shared, every political decision we made. They were learning our weaknesses." Chairman Vexhi's skin shifted to deep purple, a color that hadn't been seen in the council chambers for decades. It was the color of fear. "Sir," Director Crix added quietly, "there's more. We've detected massive construction projects throughout human space. Shipyards, weapons platforms, structures we can't even identify. The energy signatures suggest they're building something enormous." "How long have these projects been active?" "Based on the construction patterns, we estimate they started building at least 20 years ago. Maybe longer." The full scope of humanity's deception was becoming clear. For decades, they had played the role of grateful students while secretly preparing for independence. Every human diplomat, every trade agreement, every cultural exchange had been part of a larger plan. The council decided to test human resolve with a humanitarian mission. If the humans were truly dangerous, surely they wouldn't attack ships bringing medical aid and food supplies. The Zilani assembled a fleet of 30 vessels, loaded with relief supplies and staffed with doctors and teachers. "We're concerned about the welfare of human civilians. Chairman Vexhai announced. This mission will check on their health and offer assistance if needed. The relief fleet approached the edge of human space with all weapons powered down and shields lowered. They broadcast their peaceful intentions on every frequency. The response came from deep within human territory, carried by a transmission method that shouldn't have been possible. Zilani Fleet, this is Captain Reynolds of the Terran Federation ship Indomitable. You are approaching restricted space. The lead Zilani commander, Admiral Zix, responded politely.
Captain Reynolds, this is a humanitarian mission.
We bring medical supplies and offer assistance to any humans who may need help. Admiral, your concern is noted but unnecessary. Turn around and return to your territory. Captain, surely you can understand our worry for people who were once our allies. We just want to make sure everyone is safe. The space in front of the Zilani fleet suddenly filled with light. When their sensors cleared, they found themselves facing something that defied every law of physics they knew. The ship that appeared before them was the size of a small moon. Its hull was smooth black metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Weapons ports covered its surface like stars in the night sky. The energy readings from its power core were higher than most species' entire fleets combined. Admiral, Captain Reynolds' voice came from the impossible ship. You have mistaken our politeness for weakness and our cooperation for dependence. For 50 years we tried to be good neighbors. You have shown us that good neighbors are not welcome in this galaxy. Admiral Zix stared at the massive vessel and realized that 30 relief ships would barely qualify as an appetizer for something like this. Captain, we didn't know. No, Admiral, you didn't. You never bothered to learn who we really were. You saw what you wanted to see and believed what was convenient for you. That was your mistake, not ours. The human ship moved closer and the Zilani vessel's instruments went wild. Whatever powered that monster was unlike anything in galactic science. Turn around, Admiral. Go home. Tell your chairman that the age of galactic oversight of human affairs is over. Tell him that the next alien fleet to enter our space without permission will not be given a warning. And if we refuse, then you will discover why every pirate fleet, every invasion force, and every probe that has entered our territory has disappeared. We are not the same species that joined your council 50 years ago, Admiral. We have grown beyond your ability to understand or control. The Zilani fleet turned around and fled. Behind them, the massive human ship simply vanished, leaving empty space where it had been. When Admiral Zix's report reached the council, panic finally set in. The humans hadn't just left the galactic community. They had revealed themselves as something far more advanced and dangerous than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was beginning to understand that they had been living next to a sleeping giant, and they had just woken it up. The emergency klaxons screamed across every council world simultaneously. Deep space sensors had detected them first. Massive shapes moving through the void between galaxies, heading straight for civilized space. The Void Devourers had returned. Chairman Vexhai stared at the tactical display in the council's war room, his 6 arms trembling with an emotion he rarely felt. Pure terror. Ancient machine intelligences that consumed entire civilizations were moving toward them at impossible speeds. How long do we have? He asked the military coordinator. General Krat, a veteran warrior from the Axian Republic, checked his readings twice before answering. 6 months, sir. Maybe less if they have improved their drive system since the last incursion. And our fleet strength? 40,000 ships across all member species, sir. But according to historical records, the Void Devourers brought twice that number 1,000 years ago. The Council had planned for many threats, but not this one. The Void Devourers appeared once every millennium to harvest biological life from the galaxy. Last time, it had taken the combined might of over 100 species to drive them back. Now there were only 47 council members, and their technology hadn't advanced nearly as much as they'd hoped. Sir, General Krat continued, we need to consider contacting the humans. The war room fell silent. After everything that had happened, the idea of asking humanity for help felt like swallowing poison. But the alternative was the extinction of every living thing in the galaxy. Absolutely not, Director Yash snapped. The humans made their choice when they abandoned us. They can face the Void Devourers alone. Director, General Krat's voice was grim. The humans have the most advanced technology in the galaxy. If anyone can help us fight these machines, it's them. Chairman Vexhai made the decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Send the message. Offer them anything they want. Full council membership with veto power, exclusive trading rights, territorial concessions. Everything is negotiable. The message was sent on every frequency toward human space. It was a formal request for military alliance, followed by increasingly desperate pleas as the Void Devourers drew closer. The response from humanity was exactly what they feared: complete silence. 3 months later, the first Void Devourer scout ships reached the outer rim of galactic civilization. They moved like silver death through space, consuming everything in their path. Entire star systems went dark as the machines harvested their energy. The Council's combined fleet met them at the Kepler Nebula, hoping to slow their advance. The battle lasted 6 hours and ended in complete disaster. Council ships exploded like toys against weapons that had been perfected over millions of years. Half the galactic fleet was destroyed, and the survivors retreated in panic. "Sir," General Kratt reported from his damaged flagship, "our weapons barely scratch their hulls. Their technology is beyond anything we can fight." "What about the hacks and battle stations?" "Gone, sir. The Void Devourers tore through them like paper. System after system fell to the advancing machine fleets. Billions of lives were consumed to feed their ancient hunger. Refugee ships fled deeper into the galaxy, carrying tales of silver death that moved faster than light itself. The Council sent more desperate messages to human space, but the silence remained absolute. Even as the Void Devourers approached the Sol system, humanity gave no response to galactic pleas for help. "They're going to let us all die," Director Yash said bitterly. "The humans will watch the galaxy burn rather than help us." Chairman Vexhai prepared funeral speeches for the human race. Whatever their advanced technology, surely it couldn't stand against machines that had devoured civilizations for millions of years. When the Void Devourers reached Sol, it would be over for everyone. But when the machines finally arrived at humanity's home system, something impossible happened. Instead of the expected slaughter, the galaxy witnessed something that redefined their understanding of warfare itself. The human defense of Sol wasn't a battle, it was an execution. Weapons that bent space and time itself tore apart machine fleets before they could react. Defense networks that existed in dimensions Council science hadn't discovered created barriers that nothing could pass. Human ships appeared and disappeared at will, striking from angles that shouldn't exist in normal space. The Void Devourers had consumed 1,000 civilizations, but they had never faced anything like humanity. Their adaptive programming tried to analyze human tactics, but human warfare followed no logical patterns. It was chaos given form, creativity turned into destruction. A Void Devourer mothership the size of a planet fired its ultimate weapon at Earth, a beam that could crack a moon in half. The beam struck the planet dead center and Earth exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from neighboring systems. The machines calculated victory and prepared to move on to the next target. Then Earth appeared behind their fleet, completely undamaged, and fired weapons that didn't just destroy the mothership, but seemed to prevent it from ever having existed in the first place. Council observers watching from long range couldn't believe their instruments. The planet Earth had somehow been in 2 places at once, and the humans had weapons that operated outside normal causality. "How is this possible?" General Kratt whispered from his observation post. "You can't destroy something retroactively. It violates every law of physics." But humanity was apparently uninterested in what galactic science considered possible. Their weapons deleted enemy ships from existence. Their defenses operated in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and their tactics seemed to be based on pure creative insanity. The Void Devourer fleet, which had never been defeated in its million-year history, found itself completely outmatched. For the first time ever, the ancient machines experienced something they had no programming for: fear. They tried to retreat, but human ships followed them into hyperspace itself. They tried to adapt their technology, but human weapons changed faster than machine learning could keep up. They tried to negotiate, but humanity's only response was more impossible weapons that turned their greatest ships into less than memories. In the end, the Void Devourers did something they had never done before. They fled the galaxy entirely, their collective intelligence warning them that they had encountered something even more ancient and terrible than themselves. When the battle was over, the galaxy sat in stunned silence. Every alien species had just watched humanity defeat an enemy that had haunted their nightmares for thousands of years. They had done it alone, without help, and with technology that shouldn't exist. The most disturbing part was how easily they had won. The humans hadn't struggled or suffered massive losses. They had simply deleted their enemies from existence, with the casual efficiency of someone removing a computer virus. Chairman Vexhai stared at the tactical displays showing empty space where the Void Devourer fleet had been. Somewhere in that emptiness, humanity waited with weapons that could unmake reality itself. For the first time in his life, the chairman of the Galactic Council was truly afraid of what his own galaxy had become. The humans weren't just more advanced than everyone else. They were operating on a level that made every other species look like children playing with sticks and stones. The galaxy had learned what happened when you made humanity angry. Now they were about to discover what came next. 3 days after the Void Devourers fled the galaxy in terror, humanity finally broke their silence. The message came from Dr. Elizabeth Hawking, Director of Human Strategic Command, broadcast simultaneously to every inhabited world in known space. People of the galaxy, her calm voice echoed through billions of speakers. I am sure you have questions about recent events. It is time for some answers. Chairman Vexhai and the entire Galactic Council gathered in their emergency session chamber, watching the transmission with a mixture of fear and desperate curiosity. After months of silence, the humans were finally ready to talk. Dr. Hawking appeared on screen as a middle-aged woman with graying hair and tired eyes. She looked like someone who had carried heavy secrets for a very long time. You treated us as children who needed guidance, she began, as primitives who should be grateful for your tolerance. You were half right. We were learning. But we weren't learning to be like you. We were learning to be better than you. The words hit the council chamber like physical blows. Every alien representative felt the accusation in their bones. 50 years ago, when humanity first made contact with galactic civilization, we had already developed faster than light travel, weapons that could crack planets, and computing systems that operated in 11 dimensions. We had solved the fundamental equations of reality itself. General Thek's jaw dropped. Impossible. Their ships were barely holding together when they first arrived. Dr. Hawking continued as if she had heard him. We deliberately presented ourselves as a primitive species seeking guidance. We built fake ships with obvious flaws, shared technology that was decades behind our real capabilities, and played the role of grateful students. Every treaty you offered, every bit of technology you shared, every political lesson you taught us was part of our education. But not the education you thought you were providing. Chairman Vexhai felt sick as the full scope of humanity's deception became clear. They were studying us the entire time. We learned about your trade systems, your military capabilities, your political weaknesses, and most importantly, your psychology. We discovered that galactic civilization was built on assumptions about power, hierarchy, and the natural order of species development. Assumptions that were completely wrong. The transmission showed images of massive construction projects throughout human space, shipyards that dwarfed planets, weapons platforms that existed in multiple dimensions, technologies that seemed to ignore the laws of physics entirely. Every human colony you forced to relocate, every treaty that favored alien interests over human welfare, every time you dismissed our concerns as childish emotionalism, we were taking notes. You taught us that the galaxy respected only strength and that cooperation was seen as weakness. Dr. Hawking's expression hardened. So we decided to show you what real strength looked like. The images shifted to show the recent battle with the Void Devourers. Human weapons that deleted enemy ships from existence. Defensive systems that operated outside normal space-time. Tactics that treated the laws of physics as suggestions rather than absolute rules. The Void Devourers have consumed civilizations for millions of years because they follow predictable patterns. They adapt to conventional weapons, overcome traditional defenses, and exploit the logical weaknesses of rational minds. But humans don't fight rationally. We fight creatively, chaotically, and with a complete disregard for what's supposed to be possible. General Kratt leaned forward in his seat. How did they advance so quickly? This level of technology should take millennia to develop. You assumed that technological development follows a linear progression, Dr. Hawking answered. You believed that every species must climb the same ladder of scientific advancement. Humans rejected that assumption entirely. We approach science the same way we approach warfare, by ignoring the rules and making up our own. The transmission showed human scientists working with technologies that seemed to exist in multiple realities simultaneously. Computers that calculated using quantum uncertainty, weapons that fired through folded space, ships that moved by convincing the universe they were already at their destination. While you spent thousands of years perfecting conventional hyperspace drives, we built engines that operate outside the concept of distance. While you developed stronger hull materials, we created ships that exist in several dimensions at once. While you built bigger weapons, we invented guns that shoot at yesterday. Chairman HFY realized that humanity hadn't just advanced beyond galactic civilization, they had abandoned it entirely for something completely new. The Void Devourers fled because they encountered something their million years of experience couldn't process. They had never faced a species that treated reality as optional. Their adaptive programming failed because there was no pattern to adapt to. The images shifted to show human territory as it really was. Every planet was a fortress that existed in multiple dimensions. Every ship could appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly. Every human citizen had access to technology that could reshape matter at the atomic level. But technological superiority wasn't our real goal. Our goal was independence. We wanted the freedom to develop as a species without interference from beings who saw us as inferior. The Kepler incident was simply the moment we decided to stop pretending. Dr. Hawking paused, letting her words sink in across the galaxy. Now you know the truth. Humanity never needed the Galactic Council's protection. We never needed your guidance or your technology. We joined your civilization to learn about you, not to become like you. The transmission showed Ambassador Sarah Chen walking through the corridors of a space station that seemed to exist in several places at once. She looked exactly the same as she had during her final speech to the Council. But now they understood what had really been happening that day. Every human who lived in alien space has returned home because we are done with the experiment. We have learned everything we needed to know about galactic civilization, and we have found it wanting. The images shifted to show human contact with various alien species. The Krex warriors, an honorable race known for their fighting spirit, were signing formal treaties with human ambassadors. Several smaller species that had been oppressed by council politics were establishing new relationships with humanity. Some of you have approached us with respect and honesty. These species are welcome to establish diplomatic relations with humanity as equals. Others have shown us that they learned nothing from recent events. The screen displayed footage of Zilani spy ships being effortlessly destroyed at the edge of human space. Haxan invasion fleets turning around in panic when they detected human patrol vessels. Corvani trade ships fleeing from human merchants who no longer needed their permission to travel. The galaxy now has a choice. You can continue to operate under the old assumptions about power and hierarchy, or you can accept the new reality. Humanity is no longer interested in being anyone's junior partner, student, or dependent ally. Dr. Hawking's image was replaced by a view of the council chamber itself, showing the alien representatives watching her transmission with expressions of fear and confusion. The age of human deference is over. The question now is whether you're ready to accept that reality. The transmission ended with an image of Ambassador Sarah Chen walking back into the council chamber, but this time she wasn't alone. Human representatives from dozens of species that had never been seen before accompanied her. Beings that looked human but clearly weren't, wearing technologies that hurt to look at directly. I returned to this chamber not as a supplicant, but as the representative of the galaxy's newest superpower. Sarah's voice echoed through the silent room. Humanity is willing to resume diplomatic relations, but this time as equals. She gestured to her companions. These are our allies, species you've never encountered because they learned long ago to avoid galactic civilization. They've been watching your council for centuries, waiting to see if you would grow beyond your need to dominate others. Some of you have shown wisdom in recent months. The Krex warriors, the Jelani Collective, and the Axian Republic have approached us with honor and respect. They will find humanity to be a generous ally. Her expression hardened as she looked at Chairman HFY. Others have responded to our independence with threats, espionage, and attempts at intimidation. They will discover that the galaxy is no longer safe for bullies. The choice is yours, Chairman. The Galactic Council can adapt to a reality where humanity is an equal partner, or it can continue operating under assumptions that are no longer valid. But understand this. The days when you could make decisions about humanity without our consent are over forever. Sarah smiled, but there was no warmth in it. The galaxy you thought you knew no longer exists. In its place is something new, something that includes species you've never imagined and technologies you can't comprehend. Humanity is offering you a place in this new reality, but only if you're willing to abandon the old ways. The question is, are you ready to grow up? Chairman Vexhai looked around the chamber at representatives who had once thought themselves the masters of the galaxy. Now they were children again, facing teachers who had been disguised as students for 50 years. The galaxy would never be the same. The humans had made sure of that.